Welcome into the Crypto Bunker podcast. I wanted to discuss the election and the results and how that will impact crypto going forward. We do have a bullish setup here for most coins. Um, Specifically, I was interested in a few charts. I'll get into those in a few minutes. Looking at gold versus ETH, I think it's a huge reversal, which I have been keeping my eye on. I sort of had an inkling that this would occur. I looked at ETH, I'm looking at ETH Bitcoin ratio, looking at DeFi coins because, we know that Gary Gensler has gone after Uniswap. And so Uniswap is up 30%, Aave is up the same amount. So looking at the DeFi ecosystem, um, and looking at ETH and really looking at Bitcoin too. I mean, Bitcoin is still, I think, very undervalued at this level, considering the asymmetric upside that could potentially occur, if they actually do go through with Senator Cynthia Lummis building a potential strategic Bitcoin reserve. She tweeted, "We are going to build a strategic Bitcoin reserve." She tweeted, "The future is bright." Um, and she basically has put forward a bill in the U.S. government to buy 200,000 Bitcoin per year over 5 years for a total of 1 million Bitcoin. At today's price, that would be worth about $76 billion, which, the total market cap's about $1.5 trillion. So it's probably be about 0.5% of the supply, something like that. And so, this is huge news. It's a great time to be in crypto. I think it's funny how like the cycle continues, right? And now we know, based on the results, with the House going red, the Senate going red, at least I'm pretty sure about the House. I'm not sure if it's official yet, actually. I should check that. Um, did the House flip red 2024 election? Um, yeah. Okay. So I know that it definitely for the Senate has flipped. I think the House um, I think the House is up for debate still. But what we're looking at is it's funny because, again, in 2020 we look at November 2020, that's when the bull run started really for altcoins last time. And I've been thinking about this. I'm not on Twitter anymore, so I'm not really tweeting about these things. And basically I've been thinking, like, ETH is so undervalued, and I put that out here a few times based on all of the activity that's happening on it with layer twos. I mean, this is like the moment that everyone's been always envisioning with ETH. So it's hard to really believe that people have been so bearish on it um, for some reason. So it's strange, but I think that this is ETH's moment, and it's going to start, now. I do think that we're looking at a huge rally for ETH. Maybe not as big as some people would expect traditionally. Like, I don't think we're going to go to 20K necessarily. Now, I could be wrong about that. It depends. If BlackRock is making their own layer two, or something like that. I mean, there's a lot of different options and things that could happen. That's why there's a lot of asymmetric upside in this environment. And so yeah, I would just keep that in mind. There's a lot of asymmetry. Trump has promised to make the United States the world's cryptocurrency capital. He's promised to um, he has also promised to um, fire Gary Gensler established a strategic Bitcoin reserve, prevent the US from selling its Bitcoin holdings. He's also, which is huge, he has he has promised to release Ross Albright from prison. So Ross is going to be free, the guy that created Silk Road. Um, and so that's I mean I've always felt um, an affinity towards Ross's situation and just really wanting him to be okay, and wanting him to be free. He also said that they're going to halt the U.S. government development of a CBDC, which means that we're not going to have a central bank digital currency, which is outstanding. Um, he's going to recommend using cryptocurrency to address the U.S. debt issues, which I think plays into the Cynthia Lummis potential buying Bitcoin. And it's there's just so much that he's promised to do. And obviously, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has also been on the side of Bitcoin. He's going to be in the cabinet. So there'll be a lot of pro crypto people in this government. The most pro crypto of all time. I was actually texted by the Stand with Crypto that says the election results last night were a huge success for crypto. Crypto voters powered victories up and down the ballot, and the next Congress will be the most pro crypto in history. And so, I mean, just to sit with that for a second is just it's pretty wild. And hopefully my screen is not um, too hard to see with I know I have it in my mode here, but let me try to change it just in case. So what we're looking at here is a breakout, and we've been this level has been a huge problem for ETH. And the 2600 level really just have not been able to break through it. And now we're at the next sort of logical spot, around that 2800 level. I do think we'll see 3150 relatively quickly at this point. For ETH, it's again, like I look at ETH compared to other assets, and this is the gold ETH chart, which we can see a major reversal here has taken place. And this is a long-term chart. And so this level, again, I've had that drawn out, and it's just, there's some key levels here. Obviously, around 1 is usually a key level for ETH versus gold. But I like to look at this because, there's a lot of gold people out there now who are looking at crypto. There's a lot of crypto people who are looking at gold, I think. I mean, I think it's just become more popular. But yeah, you can see this is a major reversal. We weren't able to break that level. And you can also look at the reversal indicator. Actually, I was going to put the RSI up there just to have that, because you can see this level was the same the whole time. It was just it couldn't break through. Gold could not break through the 1.14 level with Ethereum, and we saw that the highest relative strength was around here, and then it just kept bumping up lower and lower, and it actually bumped up against that trend line for the RSI. And so we saw that once it bumped up against that trend line at the same level, you can see we have a weakening RSI on a flat here. And that's honestly, to me, was an indicator that Trump was going to be elected as well. And I was looking at ETH Bitcoin as well in this scenario. ETH Bitcoin, though, it just kept selling off. I mean, it's honestly, it's been a terrible time for ETH investors relative to Bitcoin. But on a long-term basis, it's interesting. I mean, you could still probably draw that trend line there, and that's kind of where we are potentially bottoming here. And then you could still draw, this sort of this big wedge that it's formed. And so imagine if this is the bottom of that. I mean, on a weekly time frame, we are seeing very oversold levels here. This is similar to, this here probably back in this range because we see oversold levels on the weekly. It's always a buying opportunity. The only time it didn't really work out was right here. Um, and that was right before the Bitcoin ETF was launched, and people didn't know that Ethereum was going to get an ETF, and so there was a lot of questions involved. I also am investing in this coin called Tau, which is a crypto. It's an AI decentralized AI platform. Um, so I look at Tau versus ETH as an investment potential vehicle. And I looked at that on the daily, and we had a pretty big reversal. I bought actually this is where I bought a lot was that reversal because what I saw was if you look, especially on the 4 hourly, you could see it was bottoming out, but the RSI was stronger when it was bottoming out here. So it was a good time to do it. It is selling off relative now to ETH. It's had its own reversal candles here. But I do think that Trump is a huge boon for not only crypto but also AI. He wants to be the AI leader. He wants to be the crypto leader. You combine those two things, you get Tau. I mean, that's how I look at it. Um, I think it's right now, it's probably about a $4 billion market cap or something in that range. You can look at more information about Tau on taustats.io. This is a ripper. I mean, this is a coin that is very volatile because it has miners. It basically has the same so yeah, right now 3.79 billion market cap. Um, there's a lot of people mining this coin and constantly dumping it, so just be aware of that. But that also happened with Bitcoin back in the day, right? So, we can look at that and say, it's similar to Bitcoin. It's the same supply. It has a halving in 2025 where the supply for each block for the miners are cut in half. It has subnets, so all these subnets are basically building on BitTensor. So you can think of them as like not necessarily like layer twos, but sort of. They're building on top of BitTensor, and BitTensor is basically they're paying there's miners who are getting paid to do training and things like that for these subnets. So there's a lot of things, there's a lot of activity happening. There's a lot of people doing a lot of cool things on here. A lot of smart people, a lot of AI developers, things like that. So I do think AI needs to be decentralized in the future. I think Tau is potentially like a commodity of AI. If we think about the Tau token as like a store of value for AI, potentially in the future. So there's a lot of cool things happening there. If we look at Solana, obviously I don't usually cover this, but it does look really good. It's breaking out, and there's some targets for Solana. I would say 600 to 900 range would be safe. And finally, let's look at the King. Bitcoin, it's broken above this major range. We could look at it on a monthly too. It just looks so good. I mean, no one could really argue with this. I mean, you could buy this breakout and you could probably be very calm and happy about that. I just don't see with Trump presidency how things could change. Now, obviously, that things can change short term, but if we're looking at the halving cycle, which happens every 4 years, we're looking at potentially something where we are right around here, right? This is where we are from the last cycle. We can see what we did from there. When we look at it, that's around 400K. If we did the same thing as last time, I do think it's a similar pattern. I will say we have this sort of U-shaped wedge that took a while to get through. And we have that same thing here. you know, we can look at this as almost the similar to this, I think. Even the way that this crashed out here and bottomed, you know, here. Um, I would say, you know, it was December, right, of 2 years before the halving is when it bottomed, and that's when it bottomed here as well. So we can read some different targets for this. I also have this target, which is, I think it's a huge cup and handle. So what a cup and handle um, is basically when you have, it's like a cup and then a handle. So this is a cup and handle pattern. Usually those will play out in terms of like the top of the cup to the bottom. You take that and then you put it here. I mean, you probably put it here to be conservative. Um, and you're looking at, you know, 260K. So somewhere in that range. I also think you can do a Fibonacci retracement, um, which is going to give you a little bit of an idea of where we could go here. So that's sort of in that range as well. Usually we hit the 3618 for the targets for Bitcoin. We can do that for ETH too, potentially. Sorry, I have all these different things I'm trying to. Yeah, so this is the same. I just haven't changed it here. So you could look at this also as a cup and handle potentially, because we do have that second leg there. I think ETH, it's interesting. I mean, um, ETH could outperform Bitcoin here, but it's not going to be by a lot. I don't think that that is really going to play out, especially if they put Bitcoin on the balance sheet of the US government. You know, so looking at, I think 12,000 is fair. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest, if ETH is like goes to, you know, like 8,000 and like underperforms um for this cycle, because I think ETH is really a 2029 play, to be honest. Um, but I could be wrong. This could be a huge short squeeze because a lot of people are short. I basically took took this from here and try to connect the dots here. So, excuse me. All right, well, I'm going to wrap it up there. Have a great day. Hopefully, you guys got a lot out of this. And if you did, subscribe, like the channel, and I'll talk to you soon.